Good morning, good day, or good afternoon, wherever you join us today. Welcome to our webcast, Trusted Real-Time Performance for Mission-Critical Applications, focusing on certifiable safety over EtherCAT, also called FSoE. This webcast is provided to you by SYSGO, acontis Technologies, and ISIT. acontis, ISIT, and SYSGO have teamed up to present a complete software solution for the safety critical markets from debut to deploy. My name is Franz Walkenbach and I am the partner manager at SYSGO and glad to be a moderator today. With that, I would like to introduce the speakers for today. First, I want to introduce Thomas Wagershauser. Thomas is the head of sales and marketing at acontis with headquarters in South Germany. He has 20 plus years of experience in technical sales, marketing and product management for industrial automation communication solutions. His former management roles were at Pulse GmbH, providing DIN rail power supplies, and HMS Industrial Networks with ISIT brand CAN real-time Ethernet smart grid solutions. At acontis, he is responsible for global sales and marketing and key account relationships for acontis EtherCAT and virtualization solutions. Then I would like to introduce Franck Montagne. Franck is the technical director at ISIT, a French company located near Toulouse. He has 25 plus years experience in critical embedded systems, specialized in CAN, CAN-open, and EtherCAT protocols. Franck leads ISIT's integration of real-time embedded solutions across industrial aeronautics, automotive, and medical sectors. He also provides training, seminars, consulting, and regulatory support in projects. Finally, I would like to present Joe Richmond-Knight. Joe joined SYSGO in 2022 as an FAE solutions architect. Joe has a strong background in the use of embedded systems for the Internet of Things, as well as the design and implementation of complex data acquisition systems. Before joining SYSGO, Joe managed the operations and hardware engineering for a number of successful technology startups. Joe studied computer systems engineering at the University of Kent in the UK and is an active member of the IET, also called Institution of Engineering and Technology. And now here's the agenda for today. We will start with the company introductions, followed by Franck presenting the concept to build a safe but flexible EtherCAT controller. Then Thomas by the components used in our demonstrator presented at the SPS in Nuremberg next week, and Joe showing the path to safety. After that, we have a very nice video explaining the demo content and look. Finally, we present the possible use cases and conclusion. And now I hand over to Thomas. Thomas, please take it away.
Thank you, Franz, for this really nice introduction, and also a welcome from my side to this webinar. Let me start with introducing acontis to you. acontis, we are experts for EtherCAT controllers, and we are founded in 2001 and are based in Weingarten, which is in the very south of Germany. We serve more than 300 customers all over the world, in the Americas, in Europe, but also a lot of customers in Asia, including China, Japan, and India. And we have what we see as a leading EtherCAT software portfolio, including the EC Master, but also a lot of tools. And we are a member of the EtherCAT technology group since 2004, so since a very long time. And since then, we are continuously active in the technical working groups, as well as on all the EtherCAT plugfests. Our team members combine more than 200 years of EtherCAT experience, and what we see is that our leading EC Master, which is used in more than 1.5 million EtherCAT controllers, is used by many solution providers all over the globe in many different applications, including PLCs, machine controllers, robot systems, systems for the semiconductor industry, medical devices, measurement equipment, intralogistic equipment, power generation, aerospace, like the launch ramp of the Ariane 6, and of course also safety applications like train controllers.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Frank Montagnier, CTO at ISIT. ISIT was founded in 1991 in France and has built a strong reputation over more than 3 decades of expertise in bus systems, functional safety, and cybersecurity. Our philosophy is based on partnership, commitment, and trust, values that guide all our activities. ISIT is part of ICE Group, a French industrial group with an international presence comprising around 20 companies and employing over 1,200 people. We are continuously active in technical working group and recognized as a major provider of communication stacks and related services. Our proprietary solution include G9039, CAN Safety, Fail-Safe over EtherCAT, and protocol gateways. Our approach is a software approach independent of the hardware. The stacks are developed to meet the highest standard of quality and safety for critical industrial applications. Beyond protocol stacks, we provide a wide range of services: operating system and hardware architecture porting, full application development, expert consulting, professional trainings program, and standards such as CAN, EtherCAT, and functional safety, IEC 61508, and so on. Our partners, including acontis and SYSGO, strengthen our ability to deliver cutting-edge solutions for safety and cybersecurity in industrial environment.
Great. So my name is Gerrit McKnight. I'm a field applications engineer at SYSGO, and I'll be talking a bit today to introduce you to SYSGO, our products, and how we've helped develop the technology stack that we're talking about today. So let's start with a bit about us. SYSGO is the European leader for embedded operating systems, including our flagship PikeOS, which is a certifiable real-time operating system and hypervisor for safety and security use cases, eLinos, which is an embedded Linux distribution capable of running standalone, but also on top of PikeOS as a guest, and PikeOS for MPU, which is an RTOS made for MPU-based processors. As a business, we're a key player in most markets where safety and security of the system is paramount. So this includes aerospace and defense, space, railway, automotive, medical, and for the purposes of today's presentation, we'll be focusing on the industrial sector. So we have over 30 years of experience in doing this, and alongside our software products, we offer services to support product development, BSP development services, and long-term support and maintenance.
Now we are going to explore how to build a certifiable safety controller using FSoE, functional safety over EtherCAT. This concept has become essential in industrial automation, allowing us to combine EtherCAT's high performance with the strict requirements of functional safety. Our goal is to understand what FSoE is and why it significantly simplifies the certification process. So, what is exactly FSoE? It is first and foremost a safety communication standard based on the international norm IEC 61784-3. Specifically Part 12. Technically, it adopts the implementation model known as Model E from these standards. Looking at this layer diagram, FSoE represents the safety communication layer, SCL, which sits on top of the field bus application layer, FAL, the data link layer, DLL, and the physical layer. The critical concept here is the black channel approach. This is what makes FSoE so effective for certification. The principle is simple. Security is ensured end-to-end without worrying about the robustness of the rest of the communication channel. The protocol uses robust protection mechanisms at the SIL level to guarantee the integrity of the data and communication. Because of this approach, there is no need to certify the underlying levels in addition to FSoE. This means no Ethernet certification is needed for physical layer and data link layer, and no standard EtherCAT protocol certification is required for the Fieldbus application layer. The IEC 61784-3 and the Part 12 standards do not define a specific implementation architecture. They do not specify hardware, software, or operating system. This offers considerable flexibility. Thus, to be certifiable, any combination of hardware and software can be used if it demonstrates certain key points. It must guarantee the independence of the safety communication layers from each other, as well as their independence from the black channel, which is generally insecure. This independence means the absence of interference or freedom for interference. Finally, the architecture must demonstrate compliance with the safety standard and the level required. The major benefit of this black channel is twofold. First, it allows for the factorization adaptation when using FSoE, using EtherCAT as the black channel. Second, and crucially, it means there is no need to certify the EtherCAT protocol stack, which is more complex than FSoE. This represents a huge saving in time and cost. The platform, hardware and software, shall be a combination of safety components with non-safe elements, but must still achieve the required integrity level, even when integrating those non-safe elements. This diagram illustrates a concrete example of an architecture utilizing a safe hypervisor like PikeOS F and real-time. The concept is to use partitioning to separate a safe and unsafe component on the same hardware, CPU core, memory, and so on. On the non-safe side, we see systems like real-time Linux, non-safe, hosting the standard EtherCAT stack, EC master for example, and the EtherCAT controller application. On the safe side, running under the hypervisor, we find the FSoE stack and the safety controller application. This strict separation ensures that the FSoE protocol and its data are processed in isolation, even though it relies on EtherCAT for the transport of safe and unsafe data, with EtherCAT handling the non-safe process itself. Let's speak about our solution. ISIT introduces a certified fail-safe over EtherCAT communication stack purpose-built for safety-critical industrial applications. Fully compliant with the EtherCAT technology group specification and certified up to SIL-certified, this solution ensures the highest standard of functional safety and reliability. By leveraging its SIL-certified certification, the stack helps to accelerate development cycles and reduce time to market, making it a strategic asset for OEM and system integrators seeking dependable and secure communication frameworks. Designed for versatility, the FSoE stack supports flexible network configurations and integrates seamlessly with EtherCAT master and simulators. This compatibility enables early-stage simulation, efficient testing, and streamlined validation, ultimately reducing development risk and enhancing system robustness. ISIT modular approach allows for deployment flexibility, offering FSoE main instance, master, and sub-instances, slaves, as independent components. This enables targeted implementation, giving customers greater control over system architecture and resource allocation. Beyond the technology, ISIT provides expert consulting in functional safety and cybersecurity, aligned with the international standard including IEC 61508, ISO 13849, and IEC 62443. This ensures not only compliance, but also a resilient and future-ready system design. This solution embodies ISIT's core expertise in industrial communication, merging deep protocol knowledge with advanced safety engineering to deliver automation systems that are reliable, secure, and built for tomorrow.
So right now you have seen the basic concept of how to realize an EtherCAT safety controller. Now let's get into some details of our software products we're using to build this full stack solution. Before I start with the EC Master, let's have a quick look at our EtherCAT software portfolio. So the EC Master is used to power your EtherCAT controller. That's the quick glance on the EC Master. But we also have tools to configure, set up and analyze your network as well as the EtherCAT controller. For example, the acontis EC Engineer and the EC Engineer Wrap. Especially the quick and easy configuration is a powerful part of these tools here, and it really helps to save a lot of time when developing your network. We also offer the EC Simulator. Here you can simulate a single but also multiple or the whole network of EtherCAT sub-devices. This is really a powerful tool during development and test, because you can verify if your application or if the EtherCAT controller application works as it should, even, for example, if you simulate errors behavior of your sub-device. So you can really make sure that the whole system will even work perfectly if some devices would fail or whatever you want to simulate. Then we also have tools for continuously monitoring. So especially on a safety device or safety network, you want to make sure that your network will always work, and you want to see any root cause for any issue before an error happens. And here we have the EC Monitor, which is a perfect tool to collect data and to enable continuous supervision of any EtherCAT network. And we have the EC Inspector, which is a powerful troubleshooting tool. And you see, these units are connected via a tap to the network. So we don't add more functionality to your EtherCAT controller, or we do not load your controller with more tasks. We can be independent from the EtherCAT controller, so you can use those tools with the acontis EC Master, but also with other EtherCAT controllers. And a tap also allows us to make sure that we don't have any influences on the EtherCAT network. So everything stays cyber secure in any case, and we are honestly the only ones that provide such a nice and unique diagnosis and observation tool chain. So let's have a quick deep dive into the acontis EC Master. And there's one part, it's really a highly optimized, high performance EtherCAT main device software focused on rigorous real-time applications. You can use it on embedded controllers or IPCs. The key is that with this optimization, the EC Master only needs little resources, so you have the maximum resources for your application from your embedded controller especially. You can also use it on high performance IPCs. It simply depends on your applications. It's a modular and scalable design. We have a small EC Master core, as we call it, which combines all the functionality. And we have an OS abstraction and our special acontis Ethernet drivers to enable us to support more than 120 different platforms, different operating systems, different CPU types, and of course, many different Ethernet controllers. In addition, you can even remove features if you like, or you can add feature packs to the EC Master. Then, especially with our acontis Ethernet drivers, we can provide high performance and really lowest jitter, which is really important as soon as you have, for example, multi-access drives or measurement systems that simply require this low jitter. And we have our own drivers providing this really fast, extremely low jitter access from the software, the EC Master, as well as your application down to the network. And we have a complete offer with all the features that are, for example, listed in the EtherCAT Technology Group specifications, but we also have additional features that are really relevant for SYSGO like black channel or sub-device to sub-device communication, as well as some features which either increase flexibility, like hot connect, or help to improve reliability of your complete system, including cable and main device redundancy. I will show you a bit on that later. So FSoE requires several features from the EtherCAT main device. Let's have a look at them. The EtherCAT main device, in our case the acontis EasyMaster, needs to handle the complete network management and also needs to take care about the non-safe data handling and processing. It also must feature the explicit device identification for secure and safe sub-device management. Other device identification methods that are offered by EtherCAT are not relevant or not allowed within FSoE. The acontis EasyMaster also provides the whole PDO data exchange concepts, so you can have cyclic PDO data exchange, which is used to transport the safe data. Then we still need high performance and low jitter for all the process data. It might not be necessary for the safe data itself to have a sub-millisecond update rate, but usually in safe devices, or if you look at a safe network, you might have a multi-axis motion control inside. Then you need high performance. So this still is a key topic for safe controllers. Then we need to use the black channel operation, which is proven by the ETG to work for EtherCAT. And in our case, for our acontis EasyMaster, we also know that the product has been proven in black channel operation. And then one really important feature is the direct sub-device to sub-device communication. This is needed for FSoE data exchange. And important to know, not all EtherCAT main device software available in the market support this. And as we are talking safety, you want to have a device or a network that is certified and will run for long term. So this is why companies like acontis, with our long-term partnership approach and a long-term product service, offer the right basis for your safe devices and safe network. Let's have a look at another topic. Safety also requires reliability. We need to have a really low rate of errors. And here the EasyMaster also offers some features which can be highly relevant for your application. On one hand, of course, basic, you need to have a high quality software. And for the EasyMaster, we really take quality as a major topic here. So for example, each nightly build is tested against more than 1,200 tests with more than 250,000 lines of codes and hundreds of devices. And in addition, for release testing, we have extensive testing on many different platforms on this test setup, but also an even more extensive test setups on special applications to really make sure that the software works as everybody expects. And we also use the EtherCAT technology group Plugfest to have a continuous interoperability testing with even the latest or maybe even upcoming EtherCAT sub-devices, as well as other EtherCAT main devices. EtherCAT is a quite reliable network, but we can add some features to even improve this failure rate. For example, EtherCAT is usually one cable, a logical ring, but well, you have one cable, so if it fails, you have one error point. With cable redundancy, you can make a real ring, reducing this risk. In addition, acontis EasyMaster also supports main device redundancy. So this means that we have two critical errors away. One cable failure does not stop the network, as well as if one main device fails, maybe due to power supply issues or whatever, the network still will continue on the fly. In addition, we have really extensive EtherCAT diagnosis integrated into the main device, into the EasyMaster. So even if there's an error, you will see it really early before, in many cases, something critical happens. And you can also avoid errors by simulation. So using this EC simulator during development, you can easily verify your network that everything is working perfectly. But let me show you two use cases. The first one are industrial robots, and here we need to combine two challenges. On the one hand, it's a high-speed data update rate, because the more degrees of freedom such a robot has, the more data you need to update in a very short time. So we have a high bus load and a high traffic that needs to be handled by the EtherCAT main device. In addition, with robots or getting more cobots, safety is getting more and more important for this application. So we see more and more robot manufacturers combining our EC master with safety for their applications. And then I have another quite interesting application. It's a control system for railway systems based on EtherCAT. So here we have a quite complex EtherCAT system due to the extremely low failure rate required. So here we see redundant main devices, redundant cabling, and even sub-device redundancy. Everything done to have a minimum failure rate. And due to this, it's a quite unique system. So it's really a system from one supplier. It's a customer-specific FSoE implementation to achieve this. But it's in a market, and we see that also EtherCAT addresses more and more different applications which are outside of the classic scope due to the easy FSoE implementation that is available.
Okay, so we'll start with an introduction to PikeOS in a bit more detail and how it can be used in safe, certifiable industrial applications. So PikeOS. It's essentially an embedded operating system designed for safety and security applications. So it combines the determinism of a real-time operating system with the flexibility of a hypervisor. So this means in reality, you can host highly critical applications alongside rich guest operating systems thanks to this separation kernel architecture and the hypervisor. PikeOS provides this separation environment through partitions, which can be thought of as containers which processor time and system resources can be allocated to. So within these partitions, multiple application environments are supported. PikeOS can take advantage of modern processor virtualization technologies to support hardware virtualized guests within partitions like Linux, Android, and Windows, for example. And this actually includes our own Linux OS eLinos, which has packaged inside of it additional features that make the integration into PikeOS even closer. And in the real-time domain, PikeOS supports a POSIX environment, which provides some services aligned to the PSE52 POSIX profile, as well as some PikeOS extensions, as well as the PikeOS native environment, which is a separate environment to the POSIX environment, which provides a highly certifiable C application development environment, including additional PikeOS system service APIs as well. PikeOS can also provide an ARINC 653 Apex API, which is an avionics specific standard, so I won't be covering that so much today. Due to the separation kernel architecture of PikeOS, it can support what we refer to as mixed criticality system design, which is where applications of different severity, different criticality, whether that be in the context of safety or security, can coexist on the same hardware platform. In fact, it's also possible for inter-partition communication between these applications of different criticality through the use of careful design and concepts like data diodes, which can be configured within PikeOS using queuing or sampling ports. Again, something derived from the avionics standard, which actually has a use cross-industry. It's the avionics standard ARINC 653 I mentioned earlier. Since device drivers are just special applications that have access to memory and interrupts, these can also live in the user space alongside these applications and therefore follow the same mixed criticality paradigm if required. Of course, drivers can also exist in the kernel, often for central core functions or very high bandwidth use cases. Finally, PikeOS is portable across all popular processor architectures designed for safety critical systems. So ARM v7, ARM v8, x86 and PowerPC, including the use of multi-core processors where available. So this portability is partly achieved through a unified IDE, which is not only consistent between processors, architectures, but also across other products like eLinux and PikeOS for MPU. But it's also achieved through the modular design of PikeOS, which I will go through in the context of certifiability in a moment. So in terms of safety and security, it's generally fair to say that PikeOS can be certified to the highest level for all major industry-specific safety standards. And that's most important for this webinar in the context of IEC 61508, which is the industrial safety software standard, where PikeOS can achieve the highest level, which is SIL-4. Of course, this depends slightly on the design of the hardware, including hardware fault tolerance, but typically we can say PikeOS is certifiable to the highest level in this standard. This certifiability is in part due to the design of PikeOS, which again I'll cover in a moment, but also due to our internal knowledge when it comes to certification processes, best practices, and the support we can provide to our customers through the certification journey of their platform. So this modular approach that I was talking about a moment ago, the way that PikeOS is designed is modular, and that means that the way that PikeOS, or the way that we approach certification for PikeOS, is modular thanks to these layers of abstraction. So if we look at this diagram on the screen, everything you can see in green is prepared to be certified or certifiable to a specific architecture. So you can think of this as the core delivery of PikeOS. So this includes the architecture support package, the ASP, which is the part of the kernel which adds support for the particular processor architecture, the microkernel itself, as well as the user space system software, so the PikeOS system software, and the APIs. So that's everything that you see in green is what we would consider the sort of core delivery of PikeOS. Alongside this, then, we have in this blue section certified APIs dependent on the application development environment being used, as well as certifiable libraries like the CFS, which provides a Linux-style minimal certifiable file system, so CFS, certifiable file system. The CIP, which is the certifiable UDP IP stack, as well as our certifiable maths library. You'll see here then on the diagram, the final section highlighted in red, the platform support package, and the PSP can be thought of as a very minimal board support package. It's the PSP plus the drivers which defines the board support package. We do have some of these available, but typically this is done in the context of the customer project as a services engagement, since there are usually some requirements that are quite project specific. So therefore, this delivery is typically quite bespoke. That being said, we have quite a lot of existing knowledge and capabilities on popular hardware platforms that are used for these certifiable systems, so we can leverage that to make the BSP typically quite cost efficient. So these modular components that I've spoken about are supported through the certification kits that we offer, which include the necessary safety manuals, errata, artifacts, etc., offered alongside support and maintenance programs to ensure the certification process goes smoothly. To summarize, as a whole, this approach reduces cost and time to market. So the purpose of today's presentation isn't to dive into too much technical detail, but I did want to cover a few core concepts of PikeOS that aid in the development of this EtherCAT platform that we're showing off today. And one of those core concepts, having a separation kernel architecture, is the ability to separate in both space and time. So this means for spatial separation, which is really the first part of that, all resources in PikeOS are statically allocated on a partition by partition basis, ensuring that assigned partitions have guaranteed access to these resources. It also means by the same virtue that partitions that don't have configured access are unable to use those resources. So such mechanisms typically also take advantage of the processor memory management unit, the MMU, to enforce memory protection of those resources that are assigned. So in a similar theme, PikeOS implements temporal separation using the inbuilt priority-based preemptive scheduler with time partitioning. This means that applications within partitions can be scheduled one after another, each in their own time window, either on a single or across multiple CPU cores, or at the same time, even each running on separate cores of a multi-core processor. In this way, PikeOS supports fully multi-core CPUs. If we look at the diagram on the slide here, you see the third option at the bottom. In reality, more complex configurations can be set up where some applications are running across multiple CPUs, some are running individually in CPUs in their own time window, etc. So to summarize what's been shown so far, PikeOS has a number of features making it really well tailored towards deployment in industrial use cases where functional safety is paramount. The real-time capability of PikeOS ensures that applications can be deterministic and repeatable. The hypervisor enables guest operating systems like Linux to be deployed next to real-time applications, enabling more options, architecturally speaking. Mixed criticality means that safety critical and general purpose, or even applications of different criticality, can run side by side in separated partitions. Inter-process communication ensures controlled information flow in configurable directions. So I mentioned this data diode earlier. And a flexible approach to BSP development means a cost-effective, reduced time to market. So PikeOS, as well as the capabilities mentioned above, are all supported within the context of IEC 61508. So how have these features been used to build an EtherCAT solution? We saw the diagram from ISIT earlier on how FSoE has been implemented with the acontis solution. But what does this look like from PikeOS internals? In other words, what features of PikeOS have been used to realize this solution? So in this case, if we look at the hardware, the platform has been developed on the NXP IMX8M+. However, since PikeOS is portable, it could equally be deployed on any other processor or system that's applicable. There exists a hardware virtualized guest thanks to the hypervisor and the hardware virtualization capabilities of PikeOS, which is hosting the acontis stack, as well as a crank UI to provide a human-machine interface, so providing an HUI. The ISIT FSoE stack is supported within multiple PikeOS native partitions, so this is not only real-time, but is provided in an application development environment certifiable against IEC 61508. The separation kernel architecture is enabling this black channel functionally safe approach where the safe part of the system in the ISIT FSoE stack is separated from the black channel implemented in the Linux guest. So this black channel approach relies on communication between the various services. So PikeOS inter-partition communication in the form of queuing ports are used to communicate between FSoE SEL instances, between the FSoE and the EtherCAT stack, and to share status and control messages to the HMI process. In this case, since a black channel design is taken, the drivers are hosted in the user space for the Ethernet controller and the graphical subsystem, actually within the Linux guest. However, the same drivers could also be hosted in PikeOS native partitions in the same fashion, for example. Okay, so let's see how this all ties up in our live demo. So on the screen here, you can see a graphical user interface, which is hosted in the Linux guest, which we can use to start the EtherCAT stack. You can see the motor ramp up in speed. This is just a simple control demo, and the motor is receiving these control messages over the FSoE enabled EtherCAT stack. So if the E-stop is pressed, a control message is also sent over EtherCAT to stop the servo, as well as light up the LED beacon to alert of an emergency condition. Once the E-stop is reset, the servo is free to operate again. So what are some use cases of this kind of technology, or this combination of technologies, I should say? Firstly, there's this concept of a virtual PLC platform where the PLC application is hosted in a partition on PikeOS, and other capabilities like the EtherCAT stack, like the FSoE, and say non-safe functions, maybe like a web application, for example, or are hosted on other partitions. Cobot applications, more and more we're seeing the development of these cobot style systems where humans and machines interact on a much closer level than before. So a certifiable OS plus EtherCAT plus FSoE could be used as part of the central control system for such a design, or even within the controllers of the robot itself, for example. In a similar vein, 3D safety camera systems, computer vision-based safety systems can be used to complement a wider cobot system by providing either a simple, let's say, bounded region where if an object is detected, the operation stops, or even where an AI model is trained to analyze the video feed to detect if a person is at risk of harm. So such a system needs to rely on safe separation of critical software applications, as well as reliable, safe industrial protocol support. Finally, there's a use case in high voltage switchgear monitoring, where, let's say, a central controller is responsible for collecting data from multiple remote switchgear systems and maybe raising alerts or even shutting down parts of the wider system if an issue is detected. Of course, just a few examples here of industrial use cases, but really the sky's the limit. So to summarize on what we've presented today, I'd like to close on the joint value of ISIT, acontis, and SYSGO's collaboration to provide a safety certifiable EtherCAT development platform or development capability. So the combination of these technologies provides a de-risked approach to the use of EtherCAT on a modern embedded system through the use of an RTOS and hypervisor. The approach based on the separation kernel architectures and black channel communication allows a flexible mixed criticality, mixed application type design. The technology is highly portable and largely hardware agnostic. And finally, the solution is certifiable against the industrial standard IEC 61508.
Yeah, perfect. With that, we are approaching the end of the webinar. I hope you like the content. And thank you to all the presenters and the organization team also. And hope to see you again on this channel for other topics around mission critical embedded systems. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.